Yes, I am.
So no swearing?
You can swear. I'm okay with it.
We all got the mouth of truckers.
My name's Aaron. I was here last fall?
September.
August, September, somewhere around there. And we did some training on, gosh, what did we do last time? Scale house technology was one of them, and then we talked, I think, about CSA and things of that nature. And then the year before that, it was outside, and we were doing the blind spot exercise. If any of you have been here that long, and I think I had a few of you in the Quick Trip parking lot, right? So I'm with your insurance broker. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that I keep getting invited back. I'm not exactly sure why I keep getting invited back, but appreciate that.
Nice.
What?
I said nice, golf club.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about some summer driving risks, a little bit more unique, I would say, than some of the other seasons. We're going to talk about work zone safety because that's a really big issue with large trucks. And you're potentially going to see some changes coming from like a regulatory standpoint on work zone safety. And then I'll go through some recent updates with the regulations as well as some proposed changes and how those would impact you as drivers. So as we're going through this stuff, if you have questions, please ask. Just let's make sure it's on topic so we're not here for an hour and a half, because I think when we're done with this, you guys get to eat.
Hell yeah.
And the eating part is probably why you're here. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's talk about summer driving risks just briefly. The first one I'm just going to mention, I'm going to try and make this real world for you here. We're in like a border community, all right? So you're going to have a lot of people from Illinois heading to Wisconsin on the weekends for vacationing and things of that nature. You're going to have a lot of people from Wisconsin heading through Chicago someplace else for a vacation on the weekend, because nobody vacations in Chicago. That's not a thing. But then the other part is the Kenosha area has a lot of youth sports complexes. Soccer, baseball, etc. And as a former baseball dad, we were in Kenosha almost every weekend. I don't live in Kenosha, but I was like a transplanted Kenoshan almost every weekend. Coming down here, baseball all weekend, leaving. That happens. Baseball, soccer, other sports, people are coming from all over the region to these tournaments and then leaving. They don't know anything about where these complexes are. And I'm just going to give you an example. I can't tell you how many times, as a baseball dad, my GPS says that I need to go that way, and I'm looking at 16 baseball fields. And I'm going, nope, it's right there. I don't need to go another half mile. I can see them, literally see the kids playing the baseball.
You're just gonna get the rest of that distance after U-turn.
Maybe, but be mindful when you're around those areas, because the parents, and you may be one of them, you're literally just trying to get Johnny or Jilly to the thing at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. You'd much rather be doing anything besides that, but that's what you're tasked with doing. And so if you go from the left lane to turn right into the parking lot, it's because the GPS says it's a mile up the road, but you're looking at the thing. People don't know where they are. They're gonna brake, they're gonna turn, they're gonna do things that you wouldn't think that a normal person would do. It might just be that they're not from the area, they don't know where they're going. All they know is, I gotta get it to a place by a certain time. Otherwise my kid sits on the bench. And why the hell did I get up so early if I'm gonna watch my kid on the bench? Sorry, that was my experience. There could be different ones. The other thing, before I move on, just remain patient in those situations. Understand not everybody is from the area. The other thing to keep in mind, teenage drivers are not contained in school right now, or they won't be. So they could be out and about a lot more often. And as a father of 2 teenage boys, I don't sleep a lot. Anyways, anybody else have teenage drivers?
I guess.
Yeah? I've got an 18-year-old who's on 3rd car. Can you beat that? No?
My kid wouldn't have a car.
Yeah?
If they lost the first car.
Yeah, he pays his own insurance, which every year his insurance costs more than the value of his car. Uh-huh.
Where do you live in Illinois?
Oh no. Oh, Illinois Falls. Yeah.
He's trying to say his son sucks at driving.
Yes, I blame his mother.
Let's take no picture.
Because she's not here. And how would it look if the safety guy, I'm just kidding. He's got a lot of me in him. Let's put it that way. But anyways, young drivers, you know, they're inexperienced, they do dumb things. They're also likely to be on their phone a little bit more than others. That, I don't even know if that's accurate anymore. I see so many people on their phone that I don't know that generational differences matter. But they say that young people are more likely to be on their phone while driving. So just be mindful of that as well. Heat and hot weather certainly can have an impact on the vehicle that you're operating. I would assume that you understand how road heat and just the weather in general impacts your tires and your brakes, your cooling system. And unfortunately, this meeting is 3 weeks past where I would normally say, make sure you check your air conditioning. But we've already entered that space, so me telling you to check your air conditioning would be redundant because you've probably already done that. The other thing to keep in mind is the summer period, and especially holiday weekends, is very deadly with drunk drivers. So we just went through Memorial Day weekend. We've got 4th of July, that's going to be brutal, and Labor Day to cap off summer will also be brutal. Not to say that drunk driving doesn't happen 24/7 the rest of the time. I mean, I've literally been in Chicago, standstill traffic, and watched a guy next to me pound a bottle of vodka. No.
Pre-gaming.
It was like 92 out, and there's no way that vodka was cold. So like, I saw it, I'm like, dude, and then I went, man, what kind of a place does he have to be in to be doing that? Like, he's got to be in a bad spot right there.
Still don't give his kid driving lessons.
Maybe he was giving my kid. But just be mindful of drunk drivers in general. I don't know what it is, but wrong way drivers seem to be picking up a lot as well. There's so many risks that you have to look out for and maneuver around every day. I don't know how you guys do it. The other thing to keep in mind is if you are drinking or doing anything like that, you have to be at least 4 hours of not drinking before being behind the wheel. That's one of the regulations. Obviously, your blood alcohol content has to be at the right level as well. So be smart about that. And the last one, and I always, every year, get a client that does this. You'll be at Quick Trip, you'll be fueling up, and you'll be like, yeah, I'm almost done. I'm gonna go grab a 6-pack. And then you put it in the cab, and then you go across the scale, and then they pull you over for inspection. And then they go, hey, why do you have a 6-pack in here? And you go, I'm almost done. And then you get a ticket. Because you can't have alcohol unless it's part of a shipment. Right? In the vehicle.
lines?
Huh?
What about for your lines, alcohol for your lines?
Alcohol for your life.
Airline.
Just that's your airline subscription.
Oh.
You're drinking. You're drinking, eh?
You drink that?
You got a real crush.
You probably should.
But it's alcohol.
Believe that would destroy your insides.
But it's alcohol.
I'm just gonna be over here.
Winter.
They also say distracted driving picks up in summer, about a 10% more of a chance in summer than in other seasons. Again, just be mindful of that. And then we're going to talk about this topic in a little more depth. But every year there's 700 fatalities in construction zones throughout the United States. And that's a lot. And so whatever we can do just in this room to lower that potential is going to be a good thing. All right? Two statistics that I'll share. This is fatal work zone crashes on interstate freeways, or interstates or freeways, and the causes of those fatalities. The orange bars are for large trucks. 57% of large truck-induced fatal work zone crashes on interstates due to rear ends, meaning you're rear-ending another vehicle. To combat that specific risk, the National Safety Board, National Transportation Safety. I've said this so many times now that I've confused myself. The NTSB, I'm just going to use that, has recently came out with a rule or a recommendation that all large trucks have automatic brakes, automatic emergency braking. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, within the last week, came out with a recommendation that all vehicles should have automatic emergency braking systems. There's a rule being proposed by the FMCSA, by the directive of the DOT because of the NHTSA and the NTSB, to make sure that automatic emergency braking is implemented from this point moving forward. So if you're in a truck that already has automatic emergency braking, get used to it. If you are not in a truck that has that, prepare for it, because it will be coming. Because of that statistic right there. When we get into slower speed limit roads, that huge number from 57% of fatal crashes from rear ends dips down to 25%. Still enough, let's say. But what I think is kind of interesting is single vehicle fatal accidents are 43% in those lower speed roads. Meaning, maybe you've rolled over, you've missed something, you've went on a bridge that's no longer there. It happens. The other day there was a bridge. Now there's no bridge. I don't know, but that's a little interesting. So just be mindful of those statistics. Work zones are really tough to navigate, especially in large vehicles. There's all those signs out that say don't merge now, just wait, just don't merge yet. Okay, now merge, right? Have you guys seen those?
Merge before.
Yeah, that's probably not good for trucks. I would say large vehicles, merge as early as you can. Whenever you have a window, please take that window. Otherwise, you're going to be the one cog of the zipper stuck there. You know that's what you're supposed to do, right? Act like a zipper, one and then the other one, and then the other one, and then the other. Except in Chicago, it's 2 and then 3 and then 1, 6, 4.
None for a while.
None for a very long period of time. Then 4. Very weird. And we have construction in Illinois on 294, on 94, I'm sure elsewhere.
Everywhere.
That's never ending.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They stop here, they start it there.
Yeah. So I live in 41 territory where they've had that ripped apart for, I don't remember, I think I was 6 when they started.
You'll be
It's-
dead and it'll still be going.
Most likely, right. It's not fun whatsoever, and I'll share a quick story, because in this part of the country we have winter and then construction season. But my job, my company that I work for, would prefer if I rent a car if I'm gonna do like travel, okay? So from my house to the rental car place, if I take all the fancy shortcuts, is 7 minutes away, okay? Not too inconvenient whatsoever. 2 weeks ago, I went to go take my little shortcut, and the road's closed. And I went, ooh. And I went, oh, they're finally fixing the bridge. Or all of the bridges at the same time. Every bridge in the country, apparently, all being fixed at the same time. So that road's closed. It said detour straight. Got it. Traffic jam to the detour. Why is there a traffic jam? Detour. Get up to the detour, 6 lanes of traffic, 3 each way, down to 1 in each direction. Okay, that explains the traffic jam from the spot of where the road was closed to the detour. That's not really a detour, because in order for it to be a detour, it's got to be an unimpeded route to a place, and this is definitely an impeded route to a place, so this should be the detour. So then I went past that to try and get 29 minutes later, I'm at the rental car place going, okay, I'm not gonna go back that way. That was dumb. Let me try the only other way to get back home without driving 45 minutes around. That took 22 minutes because 4 lanes down to 2 lanes. So all of the roads to that place are under construction with 3 bridges out.
Why do they do that? That's crazy.
I swear there's a guy that just goes that one, that one, that one, that
How'd
one,
they make you
that
feel?
one, that one, that one. I felt really good about it.
I'm freaking pissed.
It's horrible. I don't know how you do it in large vehicles. I'm in a car.
Patience.
Where do you get it?
A lot of swearing.
That too.
No flipping people off though.
Yeah.
No carrying a gun.
Keep your windows up and swear.
I hope the camera doesn't record audio.
Mine's a cussing.
Yeah. I hear there being the words.
All right, so in work zones, man, this is where the government's gonna step in at some point. There's ramblings, but I don't have enough information to give you anything concrete, so I'm not gonna talk about it until I do. But almost 1/3 of fatal crashes in work zones involve at least one large truck. And again, that's where that automatic braking has come into play and why that rule's coming out. But there's going to be more coming behind that as well. So here's just, trying to get ahead of these things. Let's be smart. Certainly slow down and leave space. It's easy to say, hard to practice, but really just try your best in those situations. And the big thing really is make sure you're in the right lane. And I don't mean the right lane, I mean the correct lane. If in that construction zone it says trucks left lane only, then get in the left lane. These temporary lanes that they've created, those are usually not rated for the weight of a semi, and so that could explain some of those single vehicle crashes. Is that kind of acts like a soft shoulder, and especially in heat, and that could cause you to flip. So if it says be in the right lane, be in the right lane. If it says be in the left lane, move over to the left lane. And just make sure you're following the rules. let's talk about some updates from a legal perspective. You probably haven't heard about this yet, but they're looking, well, they've put a rule in place that changes how drug and alcohol tests can be done. Pre-employments, randoms, post-accidents can be done with a mouth swab instead of going in a cup.
So right there on the scene after an accident.
It could be, but that won't go into effect until 2 labs have been certified to process those swabs. And as of today, approximately 0 labs are certified to process those swabs. So while it's legal to do it, it's not legal to do it. The rule has changed, but it's not quite implemented yet because of a technical issue. Expect down the road though, however, that drug and alcohol testing will change. They're hoping that speeds up the process and is easier for collectors. Questions there? Do you know about the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse? I hear a mixed bag between drivers. Some do, some don't.
What is it?
Everybody should be on it, for one.
Yes. The Drug and
You're
Alcohol
required.
Clearinghouse, basically, here's how it works, as quick as I can make this. If I fail a drug test, that clearinghouse will say that I failed a drug test. It will also tell any employer where I am in the return to duty process. And it will also tell an employer if I've completed the process and am now eligible to drive. The change that they made is that any driver who has had a query ran in the last 12 months, their current employer will be notified anytime there's activity in that clearinghouse. So I'm going to pick on you for a minute, because you've always been an easy target.
Okay. I looked at my kid.
Let's say you're not happy today. You're like, I'm leaving Cutler, this is garbage. And you go to a different employer, different motor carrier, you take their pre-employment test. You fail it, because you popped a CBD gummy and there's some THC in it, and now you tested positive for THC. Well, you're not getting that job, right? And because Kutzler has ran a query on you in the last 12 months, Kutzler is going to get notified that you just failed a drug test. And now you can't drive here either. So that's a big change. Previously, it was all like word of mouth on those things, but now it's all captured in the clearinghouse. Sir?
Just to clarify, the reason why they started doing that is because too many people would fail trying to get a new job and would just go back to their old job.
Correct. Out of the,
That's why Rick hasn't left.
I think there's some number like 200,000 drivers thereabouts that have failed a test and are logged as failing a test in the clearinghouse. About 2% of those actually come back to work. So if you want to talk about a driver shortage, that's a part of that. Some of that is good that we've lost those drivers, and some of that is not good that we've lost those drivers.
How much does that stay on your record?
How long does that stay on your record? It's a fair question.
That you
I can't think off the top
that
of
you
my
can
head.
get your job back.
So you can get your job back, you just have to go through the return to duty process, which means you have to talk to a counselor, pass another test, and then based on that counselor's guidance, you can get back to work relatively quickly.
Month.
But
2
it
months.
is expensive. Yep. And then you'll have to go through a 1 to 2 year kind of programmed, but you won't know about it, testing
Randomly.
regimen as well. Yep. A few other changes that are being proposed. Matt's session talked about CSA. There are some technical changes that are coming to CSA probably within the next 30 to 60 days. The only impact that I want to make you aware of is that's going to change how your PSP is then scored. And that is, all the data that is collected through roadside inspections shows up on your PSP. So how that gets calculated will change. We talked about the automatic emergency braking requirement that's coming down the loop. Speed limiters is also getting very close to either a rule or going away again. That should happen, I would say, within the next 30 days. We should at least get some information on that. Anybody from the maintenance team here in the shop? No? Won't talk about that part of it.
Sort of, I am sort of.
You're sort of in the shop?
They don't know what I do.
I don't know what you do either. Do you know what you do? No?
We wonder.
Nobody knows what he does. We should give you a raise. This sounds like management material. I don't know what I do. Automatic emergency braking is part of a larger system of what they call advanced driver assistance systems. So adaptive cruise control, lane departure warnings, as well as lane departure correction, lane centering systems, all that stuff, technology, is kind of been implemented without regulation behind it. And they are adding regulation to make sure that it's inspected, maintained, and repaired. Mainly due to a crash that happened, I think in Tennessee, it could have been Kentucky, where a large truck was equipped with that sort of technology, but it was not operational. And the driver then rear-ended a family, and I think 4 kids died. So then the NTSB said, well, then we need to make sure that these things get inspected and repaired. And then NHTSA said, we need to make sure these things get inspected and repaired. And then the DOT said,
All right, fine.
we need to make sure these things get inspected and repaired. And then the FMCSA said, we need to make sure these things get inspected and repaired. And they all were like, yeah, look what we did. And that took 3 years.
Talk about passing the buck. Typical.
Yeah. There will be a rule on that. And then last thing I'll talk about is ELDs. Most of you, all your trucks have ELDs in them. Most of you will operate under a short haul exemption. The DOT is getting rid of all the exemptions for ELDs. So if you were running paper logs because you had an old engine, not anymore. You need to have an ELD. If your ELD wasn't working and you paper logged, that'll be a violation.
It's literally they're the ones that said that you were allowed to do that, so you got it fixed.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Aaron, when's that going to affect?
So it's in the proposed stage now to clean up all that stuff. Not sure when that's going to be in effect. But if you're running short haul, you got nothing to worry about. None of that will impact you whatsoever.
Just one quick question.
Yep.
You got guys that'll run short haul, let's say 4 days
Yep.
a week, and then I send him to Indianapolis on
Yep.
Friday.
And then
How
you got
does
to
that-
flip the ELD.
How does that work? If he was running, like, let's say his ELD wasn't working, as long as his ELD was working, Friday, everything's good for Friday, or are they gonna go, if he gets pulled over in Indianapolis and they look at his log and say, what were you doing the rest of the week? And he goes, I was short hauling, ELD doesn't work. How does that work?
So I'm not exactly sure yet because they haven't released the rule that would say how that would work, right? My guess would be that if you're running short haul, then flip over and then come back, that they will require something from dispatch that says that this was valid. You might need to send them like the hours summary or something like that. I'm not sure yet. Any questions on anything that I've covered? Yes, sir.
Will the 16-hour day go away?
I don't think anything's changing from the hours of service rules, just the ELD is being cleaned up.
Had to ask.
It's fair? Anything else? So I will again say I appreciate all that you do, and I know it's not easy. And you know, my family has been involved in trucking for many, many years. I've been in the industry as a safety person, and I understand what you go through every day, and it's not easy. And to me, it's getting harder and harder. So I just want to say again that I appreciate what you do every day, because without you, I mean, I don't even have these pants. Like, I can't make pants. Not that creative. Yeah. So that's a horrible joke. I'm not very good at telling jokes, but I do appreciate all that you do. So thank you all.
Thank you, Art.